means it's taken away. It's a passive voice. It's not that we do it. It's taken away. How? Because of performing devotional service. Then we can attain nishta, steadiness. And from nishta comes ruchi, comes a taste for devotional service. And from ruchi comes bhava, and from bhava comes prema. Like that. These are the higher and higher stages. So everybody has to go through these stages. It cannot be rushed. It's just like when you plant a seed, the seed has to sprout, has to germinate, and then it has to grow. And then when it's small, it has to be protected. And then it has to water and fertilize and take the weeds away. And so many stages that it goes through, and gradually it grows up and up and up and becomes a tree, a sapling. And eventually it gets blossoms. And then the blossoms have to be fertilized. And then finally, maybe we'll get a fruit. Okay? But until the tree goes through all those stages, all the way from being a seed to being a mature tree, we can't get the fruit. So it's like that with devotional service. There's all these different stages. Just like when I was giving my seminars here in Mexico City, I used to start out by teaching them the Dvarashakshara mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And then I said, okay, that's it. That's all you need to know. Just give up everything, go to the forest and chant this mantra for 6 months, 24 hours a day, and you'll see God. That's it. Bye. And they go, no, wait a minute. Oh, really? What's the problem? Well, the problem is they're not at that stage of spiritual maturity where they can just do that. Their faith is not mature. And it can't be forced. There's nothing you can do to force that little seedling to bloom and create fruit. The seedling has to go through so many stages, so many years before it matures. I was just thinking about this morning, and how the time involved in going through the stages of devotional service is absolutely necessary. Just like the time involved in raising that tree from a seedling all the way to a mature tree is necessary for it to create the fruit. I don't think that process can be rushed artificially. I don't think you can just take somebody off the street and drop them into an association where people are chanting 64 rounds and have them realize Krishna, as Shama Sundar or something like that. There's an enormous amount of ontological education, of transformation, of cleansing the heart. So many things have to take place before they can actually attain the platform where they can chant that much. I'm trying to make it simple, but you'll find that if you try to perform this process prematurely, you won't be able to do it. I remember there was one guy in Mayapur who tried to, this was while Prabhupada was present actually, it was in 1974, 1975. And he asked Prabhupada, can I just sit in the kutir and chant 64 rounds? Prabhupada said, oh, yes, you want to do that? And he said, yes, Prabhupada, I really want to do it. I'm tired of this material world and offenses and all this. So Prabhupada said, okay. And they gave him a little hut, and he just sat there and chanted. Yeah? He lasted 2 weeks. And after that, he was begging, oh, please, let me do something else but just chant. The fruit has to be ripe. Before you can pick it and taste it, very sweet taste. The fruit has to be ripe. And you can't rush that. You can't hurry it. It's not an artificial thing that you can do, Just point some ray at it or something and zzz, then it becomes ripe. No. So we have to have the patience and the perseverance to go through these different stages. And we also have to know those stages are there and what their symptoms are. And then we have to be willing to go through them. We have to be willing to pay our dues. This is not something you can get artificially. Yes, the process is basically simple, but it's not easy. That's why people do this for, a couple of years and then they give up on it and go away, do something else. Or, just a couple of months, like Maya does. Well, we laugh, but it's actually a tragedy, because for someone to come so close to getting the means to liberate themselves from this material world, and then even they know all of the process and everything, and then they give it up, and they give up the association of the devotees, and they go away. And this is horrible. It's a tragedy. When somebody has a car crash or a plane crash and they're injured or they die, we think, oh, it's so terrible, it's so tragic, and it is. But it's just as bad when someone comes to this process of devotional service and then out of some whimsical thing or out of bad association or whatever the cause is, they give it up. It's horrible. They've got the cure right in their hand, they're about to take the medicine, and then, oh, no, I don't think so. Really. Let me just take birth next time as a woman or whatever. I mean, it's horrible. Whatever you contemplate in this life is where you go in the next life. Yeah, so we want to make sure that we contemplate things that are going to elevate us rather than degrade us. So it's better, even if we're not successful in devotional service, even if we try our whole life and we still don't make it, we're better off than if we try it and fail and give it up. Oh yeah, that Hare Kṛṣṇa, I tried that, and it didn't work. One time I had a guy in Hawaii tell me, yeah, I tried chanting Hare Kṛṣṇa, it didn't work. I said, well, what did you do? He said, I chanted a whole afternoon, 3 or 4 hours. It's almost useless to try to explain to somebody like that, well, it might take your whole life, or maybe a couple of lifetimes to work. It depends on you. I suppose it's theoretically possible that someone could go through all of those 9 stages in a very short time, but practically speaking, I don't see it happening. Practically speaking, I see that the mental inertia of desiring so many material things takes a long time to overcome. The number of impressions that we absorb in the mind, both in this life and in the previous life, for material objects is very high. So it takes a lot of spiritual impressions to overcome that. And you can't generate those spiritual impressions just overnight. It's going to take some time.
So then your years spent in service in India and traveling and all that contributed to your coming to the platform of chanting for 6 months?
Yes, if only in the sense that I tried all those things, did my best, and it still didn't give the result. It's like, okay, I've tried everything else. This is the only thing left. Hare Krishna. And the answer was right there all the time in the scriptures. It's just that in the association of devotees that I was in, nobody was saying, yes, this is what you should do. They were all saying, oh, you should serve our organization. You should associate with all these neophyte devotees. You should, go preach and distribute books and raise money and blah, blah, blah. They were focused on that, thinking that was going to save them. And of course, they're much better off than if they had remained outside of devotional service, but still, they're not coming to the offenseless platform. And I believe that's because they never took complete shelter of the holy name. After you've been a devotee for 10 or 20 years, I mean, come on, you ought to be somewhere. Not still on the same old platform of churchy kind of, let's have our Hare Kṛṣṇa social club and have big passionate kirtans and collect a lot of money. We have to get past that. We have to get past that point to the point of where it becomes a very serious personal cultivation that we ourselves should desire, not just because we're in association with other people, but because we ourselves desire to transcend this material world. So, yes, I think those were all contributing causes, but the real cause was that I did all these things that you're supposed to do and it didn't work. So what's left? Only chant the holy name. Maybe if I had done that in the beginning, I would have attained sooner, but who can say? We don't have enough data. We don't have enough examples of people who have tried it. So that's